Hello, this is Pearl, and today I'm going to read Little Pilgrim's Progress, Chapter 37, The Rock of Error and Mount Caution. The next day, when the little pilgrims were preparing to continue their journey, the shepherds came to them and asked them whether they would like to go for a walk upon the mountains before they went away. Christian and Hopeful thought they would enjoy this very much, so the shepherds went with them over the broad green slopes and along the paths that had been cut upon the sides of the hills. "It is not safe," said Knowledge, "for strangers to walk across these mountains alone, but the king allows us to take some of the pilgrims to see the view of the celestial city." Presently they came to a steep path that was rugged and not very easy to climb. It led to the top of a great rock, and when they reached the highest point, Christian and Hopeful were very glad to put their hands into those of the shepherds and hold them very tightly indeed. The rock was just at the edge of the mountain, and when the little pilgrims looked down from it, they could see a valley far below them, and upon the ground at the bottom of the valley lay the bodies of many dead people. "Did they fall from this rock?" asked Hopeful. "Yes," replied the shepherds. "This is the rock of error, and pilgrims who leave the way of the king and wander upon the mountains alone are fond of climbing up this pathway, because they think they will have a better view from the rock. But when they look over, the sight of the deep valley makes them giddy, and they fall and are killed." Then the shepherds took the children to another place, which was called Mount Caution. From it they looked upon a wide plain, where numbers of men, women, and children were walking up and down. But they walked in a strange way, stretching out their hands as if to feel what was before them, and Christian noticed that they kept stumbling upon the rocks. "Are they blind?" he asked. Experience answered that they were. "Did you see a stile on the left-hand side of the road, not very far from these mountains?" asked Watchful. "Yes," replied Christian. "Beyond that stile is a path that leads to a strong castle. In the castle lives a giant named Despair. Many pilgrims go over into his meadow, because near to the stile the way of the king is rough and stony, and the giant's path looks green and smooth. Then they almost always lose their way, and Despair seizes them and carries them to his castle. He is very cruel to them, and at last, if he does not kill them, he puts out their eyes and brings them down to this plain, where they wander about until they die." Christian and Hopeful looked at each other, but they did not speak. Perhaps if they had not escaped from Doubting Castle by the help of the little key, they too would have been left to perish upon the plain. Now the shepherds went down the mountains, on the side that was farthest from the way of the king. Soon they came to a spot that reminded Christian of the entrance to the dark valley. Great black rocks hung over the path, and the children could see only a very little distance along the narrow road, because of the thick mist that lay before them. "This is another dangerous place," said Knowledge, "and pilgrims who walk alone upon the mountains are often lost here. That path leads into the country of the wicked prince, and pilgrims who enter it are never able to find their way back again." All these things made the little pilgrims very thoughtful. But Christian afterwards said, "I am glad that we saw them, although I was frightened, because now we shall be very careful indeed about keeping in the way of the king."